The Yao method is the fastest method for 4x4 speed solving, and it's used to break all of the world records. And the good part about it is it isn't too difficult. As long as you know beginner's method, you should be able to move straight on to Yao pretty easily. So if you want to learn this method, I'll teach you that here. Before we get into the tutorial, there are 3 things I'd recommend before you get onto Yao. These aren't necessarily prerequisites or requirements before you get into Yao, but these are just things I think would be nice for you to know. Number 1 is know a 4x4 beginner's method. I have one on my channel, that's right up here. It's recommended that you know a 4x4 beginner's method first, but I guess it's not required because of how simple this method is. Although I would highly recommend it because a lot of the words I'll be using are probably stuff you'll only know if you've used my 4x4 tutorial. Also, I'd recommend being somewhat experienced with 4x4. Under 4 to 5 minutes should work. And then my final recommendation is for you to get a good speed cube. The one I'm using is the Moyu Aosu V7 Double Track. It's $45 and it's the best one you can get. This will shave off some time by upgrading to this. So just head over to thecubicle.com and pick up one of these, or click the link in the description for even more options. So Yao starts off very similarly to normal 4x4. You'll make 2 bars and connect it to make the white center. But you want to try to do it a bit more efficiently with beginner's method. You should have enough practice to make bars in 1 to 2 moves. There I just did about 4 moves and I already have 2 bars that we can connect to make a white center. Super simple, it just requires practice. Now we can move on to the yellow center. Just like on normal 4x4, it will be solved opposite from white, and I'll just give you an example because, again, this one just requires practice. I think I'm going to match up these 2 pieces. There are 2 ways I could do it, but I think I'm going to move this one to the top instead of moving this one to the bottom. So how I'll do that is I'll bring this over here so I can move these 2 and match them up just like that. Then we move it out of the way so when we undo this, it doesn't break the pieces again, it keeps them solved. So now I've undid that, and we have a bar up here, and the white center is still solved. By luck, it looks like I have a bar solved, so I'll rotate this side, and then this one obviously, so I can do this algorithm from 4x4 to solve this side. You can actually shorten it in my beginner's tutorial. I teach it with a U2 at the end, but that's not really required. Also, you're able to do it with your left hand, so if you're like this, it's going to be much easier to do this to insert instead of doing this and then rotating this all the way up here. Now, what makes Yao different from a normal beginner's method is we are going to make 3 cross edges. So we will use intuition to pair up a white edge and match it with the white center. It's a very simple step, so I'll just give you an example. So make sure you have the white on the left and the yellow on the right. So I immediately see this green piece because it's already in this layer. So now I'll just look for the next one. Here's another white green, so I'll move it into the middle layer with the D move. But if I try to do this, I'm not able to match up the edge. So I'll actually have to do a D move instead of a D prime. Now I can super simply just match the pieces up and do a U move to insert. Now we can move on to the next one. I immediately see this piece. So let's find the matching one. That's right here. We can just do a U2 and match these 2 up. Now in 4x4 beginner's method, I taught the color scheme as Boger. Blue, orange, green, red. So let's think it would be blue, orange, green. So the orange goes right here. Next, I see this blue piece, which can be moved into the middle layer, and then this one's already in the middle layer, so we can match these up, and using the color scheme of blue, orange, green, we can know the blue needs to go here. From here, I will move this, so the edge that doesn't exist, I guess that's what I'll call this, right here. So we have one free layer to turn without messing up any edges. Now we'll use more intuition to solve the rest of the centers, just like we would with white and yellow. Except instead of rotating, you'll have to do this sort of move, and just, that will kind of change things up, so it will take some practice. I see a really easy green center, so I just do a U2 and then we can match this up, and the green center is already solved. Then what I like to do is move it on the bottom so we can work on the next one. Right here would be red, but using some piece deduction, which is pretty complicated, I'm not sure you'll need to know that, I know there's a bar in the back here. So what I can do is I'll just do a U2 so we can match these two edges up, then bring this back down, and then we can insert that into the back using some basic intuition and algorithms from the 4x4 beginners tutorial. And now last two centers. Make sure you know how to solve every last two centers case. I'll go over all of them, so we might as well start off with this one. This one is pretty simple, just hold it like this and go. And then this creates a bunch of bars, which you can solve however you want. If you have two pieces that are unsolved, there are two main ways you can do it. Either hold them like this and then do this, or you can have a rotation like this. So hold them like this. Here's the next one. This one is pretty simple. And now we have a bar and we can solve the rest however we want. So that's actually already all of them. So now we should be done with all of our centers, and we have 3 cross edges. This makes it extremely simple to continue. So the next step from here is we want to make a white edge. So I see 2 that are already matched up. That's really simple. We can use some basic intuition to match them up, just like we would with the first 3 cross edges step. Then we can move it into the top layer and undo this. Then we can solve this into the white cross. From here, there are many ways you can solve the last few edges. The method I'll be covering is called 3-2-3 edge pairing. It's pretty simple, and here's how it works. So you're going to start by doing a UW prime, and that offsets all of these pieces. Now what we're going to do is check what color this piece specifically right here is. This is green and orange. Green and orange, perfect. Now all we have to do is move it so you can match these two up. Not over here, because then when we try to match them up, that wouldn't solve the centers. So we're going to do them right here, so when you match it up, it solves the centers. But we're actually not even going to match it up yet. We are going to continue that with this one. So I'll just move this one in, and then when we undo this, it would solve that. But we're still not going to undo that move. We can do one more. So I see that right here, which we can simply move in, so when we undo this, we have 3 pieces solved. Now you can finally actually undo that move, and you have 3 edges solved. That is the 3 and 3-2-3. Now we're going to solve 2 edges, because it's 3-2-3. So we just did the 3, now let's go on to the 2. I immediately see this edge right here. This has orange and blue, so let's find the orange and blue. Let's insert it so we can match these up. But before we do that, we're going to check this one. Blue and red, that's right here. So what we can do is move this out in a way that moves this one in. It's kind of complicated, but basically move this out and then move this one in, so that when we undo this, it also solves that. It's kind of like a 2-in-1. So it would just look like that, and we did the 2 edges. Now we're on to the last 3, or it looks like in this case I'm on to my last 2. So we're on to our last 3. That didn't happen. Let's not cover special cases yet. So I will immediately see this one, but this one isn't very good because it will require a flipping algorithm. So let's do this one instead. I'll just move it in to match these 2 up, so we can do that. And we'll do the exact same thing. What color is this? This is blue and yellow. So we're going to do the same thing we did for the 2, And let's move the blue and yellow in. So when we undo this, it solved that. And this last one kind of just has to be solved. So this one is free. We don't need to worry about this one. So now you've solved all of your edges by solving 3, 2, and then 3 again. Alright, let's cover special cases now. So if you do this move, and then you have 1 edge, maybe 2. If you get really lucky, maybe even 3 or 4, but that would be insane luck. When we do this move for the 3 step, and we have 2 edges that are solved, there's really nothing complicated we have to do. Just move those 2 out, and then undo this. But before you undo it, look at this one right here, or really just any of them. So I'll just go with this one. The matching edge is right here. So let's flip this so that when we undo this, we have 1 solved. And that just did the 3 step, but I guess we got 2 free edges. So if we're going to do another 2, and we have 3 solved, and it looks something like this, where you kind of have like 4 edges where all the pieces are the same. So I have a red and blue with a green and orange, and then another edge with a green and orange and a red and blue. There's a pretty simple way we can do this. Just mirror 2 of them, then mirror 2 of them again, and then do either this way or this way. I prefer to do this way. Then just flip this edge and flip this one, the one across from it. Then when we undo that, all of the edges are solved. If we have something like that for the last 3, except it's just 2 of those, this is the exact same as with 4x4 beginner's method. So there might be a few more special cases, but those are the big 3, and the rest are solved in a pretty similar way to those main 3. So if you get special cases, it's gonna be pretty easy for you to figure out on your own. So now from here, we can just solve the 3x3 stage. Usually you'd want to use CFOP since you're using the Yao method, but you can really use whatever you want. Alright, so that's the entirety of the Yao method. All you'll really need to do is practice, and there's also a whole way to solve the last layer on 4x4 faster. Let me know if you want to see a tutorial for that, but other than that, I'll see you later.